Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our NFL recap, and today we're going to be recapping the Giants versus the Seahawks game that just happened on Monday Night Football. And if you watched the game, I'm assuming you watched the game, so you know what went down. So we're really just going to be looking at mainly what went down and everything that's going on with the Giants and the Seahawks after this game. So firstly, obviously the biggest story about this game was the Giants are in trouble. The Giants are in serious trouble, and they have a lot of concerns as not only as they look down towards the end of this season and the rest of the season, but also the future over the next couple of years with their quarterback Daniel Jones and just their whole future, because the offensive line and before I say that, let me just it's a few things that are concerning me about the Giants right now. One, most obviously, their offensive line is horrible. Daniel Jones was sacked, it says 10 times, but I'm pretty sure it was 11. He was sacked 10 or 11 times tonight, that's unacceptable. And Daniel Jones was out there fighting for his life, and I'm not saying that. And Daniel Jones, he played okay for what the circumstances was. He did throw a pick six, which is unacceptable, and he also threw another pick when he was under pressure. And obviously he can't throw picks, but he's not been given a fair opportunity to excel in a game for an entire 60 minutes. When as soon as he snaps the ball, as soon as he looks up, he has a D lineman right in his face, because the offensive line is just bad. And to me, that comes down with a lot of which comes to my second point, which is there seems to be no cohesion and real cohesiveness throughout any of their units. If you look at it on offense, their offensive line, they can't pick up blitzes, they can't pick up stunts, and they're just getting beat right off the bat. And Daniel Jones is getting sacked and punished because of it. And not only that, when it comes on the defensive end, their running defense is horrible too, because teams are just running. If you looked at this past game when Kenneth Walker and the other rookie running back for the Seahawks was getting in the middle, they were just getting to the second and third level when they wanted to, because a lot of missed tackles, a lot of guys not being able to tackle as a team. It's just a lot of things that just aren't playing in their favor. And special teams is bad when you're giving the other team's offense an extra 5 or 15 yards before they even snap the ball on their drive, because you're having special team penalties when it comes to roughing the kicker and holding, illegal contact, just undisciplined penalties that are just setting you back and just are not looking good. I'm not sure what the penalty count they had this game. I had to look at that, but I'm pretty sure it would be fairly high. And I'm surprised that they didn't get a lot more holding calls because of how bad their offensive line is, if I'm being honest. And now secondly, it's when you looking at their schedule, the next two games are going to be against the Dolphins and the Bills, I'm pretty sure. And going against the Dolphins and the Bills, who are two top teams not only in the AFC but in the entire league, top offenses, who the Bills have a stout defense, and the Dolphins, from game to game, they can have a pretty okay defense, which hasn't been great, but their offensive line is just horrible, and they might make the Miami defense look good just because how bad their offensive line is. And like I said, which I said in my last video when I talked about the Giants and the 49ers game, was that when they lost that game, I was saying that coming up on this game against the Seahawks, if they messed around and lost this game, their next game against the Bills and the Dolphins, you're looking at a 1-5 start. And once you look at that, you already got to play the Eagles 2 more times. You got to play the Cowboys 1 more time. And, that's, in my opinion, I don't think you win any of those games. So you're already looking at the end of your season when you haven't even gotten a bye week yet. And one thing I would want to add, I don't understand why Daniel Jones still was in the game at the start of the fourth quarter, because in my opinion, I'm not a coach or anything, so if you are familiar with what the coach was trying to do then, please inform me on it, because Daniel Jones was sacked so many times at that point, and he was just getting hit and beat up so many times to where he's your franchise guy. You paid him a lot of money this offseason. You just get him out the game. Just get him out the game and just let him fight another day, because he's going to mess around and get hurt if you keep leaving him out there and not protecting him. You have to protect him, and leaving him out there. Daniel Jones, he shows a lot of toughness, but he's inevitably going to get hurt if you allow that offensive line to just keep failing him like that. But back to what I was saying, when you're looking towards the end of your season, Saquon Barkley is not looking to come back really anytime soon, because it looks like he has a pretty bad ankle injury and he might miss some more extended period of time. And when you look at your weapons, you don't have a lot of great weapons around Daniel Jones. And I'm a guy who, I'm not extremely high on Daniel Jones, but I do think he is a solid quarterback, but he still needs some level of competency around him for him to look somewhat decent. And when they're not able to do that, he's going to look bad, and your team is just going to lose games. And that's what it's been these last couple of games. Well, these first 4 games, even the Cardinals game where you were down 28-0, but you happened to storm back, which you should have lost that game, but you won it, just despite the fact that, you had a lot of willpower in that game, but you still should have lost that game. So you could have potentially been looking at being on 4, on 5, on 4 right now. But it's not looking good. And I don't know what the Giants are going to do, because they have a lot of decisions to make. Because if I'm being honest, if this keeps up, and let's say through week 11, week 12, and throughout these next 6-8 games, they go 1-7, 2-6, 3-5. Well, maybe not 3-5, but anything under 2 wins, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones get benched. But I'm skeptical of that now, seeing that they had him out there in that fourth quarter for a good bit of time, just leaving him out there to get slaughtered. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody from upper management say, "Hey, get him out of there. We're paying him too much money for him to get beat up and keep losing games like this, and he's still taking his beating, and he might mess around and get hurt." So I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones get benched just out of pure protection, because he's not going to be winning any games, because the entire team is just a dumpster fire right now, and he has no protection on the offensive line. And let's go to the Seahawks real quick, because the Seahawks defense, they're looking, I know it looks kind of crazy because it's going against the Giants. And naturally, when you're going against the Giants O-line and just whatever they have, you're probably going to look a little more impressive than what you already are. But looking at some of their players, they just had a lot of playmakers on that team, especially the rookie Witherspoon. I was always high on their corner, Tariq Woolen. I was always high on their corner, Tariq Woolen. So I think they're going to be a pretty solid and pretty stout defense throughout the rest of the year if they maintain and manage. Because this game, the Witherspoon from the rookie out of Illinois, they put him in the nickel, and he played amazing. I'm pretty sure he had 2 sacks, a pick 6, and he was just making big time plays, huge tackles, one-on-one tackles in the open field, just being a big time player. And he looks like a special player in the making right now. And not only that, like I said, I'm high on Tariq Woolen. I feel like he is already one of the better cornerbacks in the league, and he's just going to keep getting better. So, and unlucky for them, Jamal Adams is hurt, and it's probably going to be coming down to whether he has a concussion or not. But if Jamal Adams can never get back and be healthy, he's just going to be a huge toughness player for them, just for the energy and electricity he brings on the defensive side. But once again, the Seahawks are a pretty decent team. I feel like they're going to be a little better than what they were last year. They won 9 games last year. I do think, that could potentially bounce to 10 or 11 wins, just purely on the fact that they have the relatively same team last year. but they're also just going to keep getting better throughout as the season goes on. So look out for the Seahawks to make the playoffs. I'm calling it now. But I do want to end this on, once again, Giants. It's not looking good because, one, your offensive line is horrible. Not only your offensive line, your whole team just shows a lack of cohesion. Number two, Daniel Jones is potentially going to get hurt. That's just what it is. He's potentially and most likely going to get hurt if he continues to get beat up like that. Three, as your schedule goes on, you're already behind the 8 ball with how you started. And throughout these next couple of games, if you lose 2 out of these 3 next games, your season's probably over. And that's just the truth of it. So it's going to be quite intriguing to see just what Brian Daboll does to try to combat this, and how he can rally his guys to show some level of competency. And it's going to be interesting to see if Daniel Jones can manage to look anywhere decent or compatible behind this offensive line and in the system. But coming tomorrow, we got a couple more games we're going to get into, so stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below just what do you think about this game, and what was more impressive. What was the biggest story, the Seahawks defense or just how bad the Giants are at the moment? So let me know down below. Hope you guys have a good night. Peace out.